Welcome to this Infor Digital Showcase. I'm your host, JD Miller. If you aren't familiar with Infor is a global leader in business cloud software products for companies in industry-specific markets. Infor builds complete industry suites in the cloud and efficiently deploys technology that puts the user experience first, leverages data science, and integrates easily into existing systems. Over 60,000 organizations worldwide rely on Infor to help overcome market disruptions and achieve business-wide digital transformation. Recently, Infor sponsored the National Retail Federation's annual conference. And as you know, NRF is the world's largest retail trade association. Today, we're joined by Martin Carlson to share trends and insights from NRF's big show. Welcome, Martin.
Thank you, JD, for the introduction, and welcome everybody to this session where we are going to share some of our trends and insights from the Retail's Big Show that took part in NRF this January. Let me just start to say some words about NRF, the conference itself. I mean, it's the largest and most influential retail conference in the world by about 40,000 participants from 100 countries representing about 6,000 brands. So it's huge. And I would say the great thing about NRF is it's the combination of theory and practice. There is this huge exhibition area where you can browse all the exhibitors' new technologies and innovations. But it also has an extensive conference program where you can listen to a lot of seminars and keynote speeches that also are interesting. And the third thing is, I mean, New York is probably the retail hub #1 in the world. So it's a way of looking at new concept stores from new brands because they are really experimenting a lot in Manhattan and the surroundings. So yeah, that is interesting as well. I mean, the theme for NRF this year was Make It Matter with IT. The IT stands for IT, information technology, obviously. So the conference program this year, I mean, I would say it's a combination of C-level persons, senior managers from some of the largest US brands like Walmart, PepsiCo, Levi's, sharing their insights from working in the business. But it also has some, let's say, more celebrities from the retail industry. This year was both Magic Johnson and Drew Barrymore there and shared their insights from working in the industry. And of course, there's a lot of consultancy firm that shows their latest research from retail. So it's a lot of things to dig into, so to say. During these days, Infor held an executive breakfast seminar at the headquarters in Manhattan. The theme for this seminar was Navigating the Future of Unified Commerce. And we had a panel with the CEO and the CTO of Infor, and also the Vice President of Global Retail from CGI there. They talked about the challenges and the opportunities in order to create unified commerce. Infor also conducted a store tour in Williamsburg. As I said, New York's retail scene is very innovative. So the participants on this store tour, they got the chance to look at new concept stores from great brands such as Nike and Chanel and Boss and Google and Patagonia and so on. So that was also an interesting thing to do. So now we have compiled all these impressions from the conference and summarized them into a white paper. And this presentation is based on the insights from the white paper. And after the presentation, I will show you where you can download the white paper as well. So before I start getting into the trends at NRF, let me just say some words about the state of the retail industry. Because 2023 was a tough year. I mean, we just left the pandemic, and then we got this high inflation, we got rising interest rates, we got the war in Ukraine that creates geopolitical concerns and so on. We have supply chain disruptions and so on and so on. So it's been a really busy year for the retail industry in total. And some even say that we nowadays live in what they call a Barney world. Barney is an acronym for B as brittle, A as anxious, N as nonlinear, and I as incomprehensible. So at the NRF, there was a senior economist and say that, and his prediction was that it's going to be a soft landing in the macroeconomic environment in 2024, but it's still going to be a tough year this year because we see that the pure e-commerce players, they are having a hard time in order to get profitable. We see the traditional retailers that are struggling to get the footfall back into the stores. We see the omni-channel players that are trying to bridge the gap between the digital and physical world. So there's a lot of challenges for the different kind of retailers because the consumers, I mean, they are just as demanding as ever. They want low prices. They want fast delivery options. They want flexible payment options. And hopefully, or most of all, they want free returns as well. So, I mean, overall, they are expecting the retailer to give them a kind of seamless and frictionless customer journey through all the different channels. So the retail industry is really transforming at the moment, but has the retailers kept up? Well, some have, and some are trying to, I would say. But one thing is clear, that the need for investments in different kind of technologies in order to deliver a better customer experience are going to be high for the years to come. So with that said, let me talk a little bit about some of the trends that we saw at NRF. And I mean, the buzzword number one was really AI. That was the hottest topic on NRF by far. And I mean, already last year, on last year's NRF, AI was there, but this year it was really everywhere. And I think the reason for that is that we've seen a rapid development in AI this last year. Just take some time to reflect about that chat GPT. About a year ago, it was quite new on the market. And now, a year later, there's about 180 million users at ChatGPT. So from the consumer market side, the consumers are getting more used to using virtual assistant in different ways. And at the same time, the market player, the retailers, they are also getting more mature in order to give the consumers new tools to try, so to say. And I think an interesting quote on this year NRF was Bill Gates, the former Microsoft founder, and he said that within 5 years, everyone will have their own personal AI assistant, which is it's really, you can really think about what that is going to mean, so to say. So why all this talk about AI and why all this talk about it now? Yeah, well, as I say, the technology matures. But I mean, basically, I would say it's because the retail industry are getting more and more data driven. That is a given thing. And this stressed the need for retailers to being able to handle larger number of data. And it also stressed the needs for being able to analyze all these large numbers of data, both structured and unstructured data. So it's really high pressure into that. And I mean, AI will probably change the society in many ways, and of course retail specifically as well, in almost every part of a retailer's value chain. But there are some specific parts that I would highlight a little bit. And one is the ability to being able to forecast demand, because AI gives you the opportunity to do that, being able to so to say look into the future. It also gives you a good opportunity to optimize or streamline some of your backend technologies and your backend business, such as last mile logistics, warehouse management, and so on. But it also gives the retailers a possibility to get more personalized and better customer experience, more tailored information, product information, and so on, and offerings. And last, I would say it's also a possibility to generate new ideas in order to try to create new revenue streams and maybe even new business models for retailers. So it pretty much is it's going to be a very, very vital part of every aspects of the value chain. And I think one of the most easiest quote at NRF this year was, I think it was a senior person from Microsoft that said, well, you can't spell retail without A and I, AI, yeah. So what's the impact of retail for the industry, for the retail industry? Well, as I said, I mean, it probably every retailer's dream to be able to look into the future, to optimize your business, and try to get new businesses, right? So it really seems to be the holy grail for the retail industry, the AI sector. And McKinsey, the famous consultancy firm, they showed a report where I think the report was called The Economic Potential of Generative AI, where they said that there's going to be billions of dollars in productivity every year for retailers by using AI. And IBM showed statistics that this is taking place already now, because about 40% of all retailers are already using AI in some ways. And that number was predicted to double within a couple of years. So by 2026, that was supposed to be 80% of the retailers using AI. And there was also figures that was shown that companies that are using AI outperforms those that don't, and so on. So I mean, the potential are huge for AI in retail. So let me just try to move beyond the hype and try to give some concrete examples of what can this mean? How do we see that AI are implemented in the retail industry at the moment? And one example was from the Chinese online fashion brand Shein. So they use AI in order to browse through social media in order to get new ideas, try to scouting new trends. And by doing that, they have also developed a new way of prototyping new products. So before starting to produce new fashion, they kind of make a prototype of that and test the market interest at the web page. And the products that get the most interest, they start to scale that up quickly. So by working this way, the way to time to market is shorter, but they also mitigate the risks without by producing stuff that people really going to use or going to order, so to say. That was one example. Another example, and I mentioned that before, is the ability to personalize information and offerings in order to get better conversion rates. So one example was from customer reviews. I mean, customer reviews are highly appreciated among consumers, where you read a lot of customer reviews. But I mean, sometimes it could be thousands of customer reviews. And how do you read the right ones, so to say? So AI can help retailers to get a filter in order to give the customer reviews that are most relevant to a consumer, so they can get right information, so to say. That is one thing. And the other is that if you take the product information itself at the web page, I mean, that is quite generic in a way, but I mean, different consumer want different information. And how much information do they want? Do they want to read a lot, or do they just want to make the purchase, so to say? So also here, AI can help the retailer to personalize the product information in order to get better conversion rates. And a concrete example of this is that the Spanish fashion brand Zalando, they released a fashion assistant into their app that was powered by ChatGPT. So when the consumer moved into the app, they can start a conversation with a virtual assistant by or start asking question and getting by that personalized answers, so to say. Right. And my third example is from Amazon, the retail giant. I mean, they are really focusing on getting when talking about their last mile logistics, they want them to be as sustainable and as profitable as possible. So they use AI in order to they've created kind of a scoring method in order to when a consumer make an online purchase. I mean, the question is, from what warehouse are we going to send this product to the consumer? And it's not necessarily the nearest warehouse they would send it from. Instead, they got a sophisticated system that takes several factors into consideration, both internal and external, in how to optimize this. And as I said, the result is that their last mile logistics are getting more sustainable and profitable. And you can read more about that in the white paper as well. But it's an interesting example, I guess. Yeah, talking about the development of the retail industry. I mean, more and more of the customer journey, the buying process, are taking place online. And that, of course, leaves us with a question: what will the modern store of the future look like? And one of the sessions at NRF has this theme called "Everything in Retail Has Changed, but Have the Stores Kept Up?" And that is a relevant question, of course, because I mean, and the speaker said a little bit ironic that, I mean, historically the stores has been more or less warehouses where we, by the way, let the customers in. But I mean, now the stores, they are one touch point in a retailer's or a brand's total ecosystem. It's important, but it's the role has changed, the purpose has changed as the retailers are getting more omni-channel, so to say. So it's really getting a balance between to deliver function and create the right vibe. And as I mentioned earlier, in Williamsburg, we see a new generation of concept stores that are emerging with there's more focus about trying to create an overall good experience. The brands are thinking, how are we going to build our brands better by being more interactive with the consumers? How do we create events and community happenings and brand building activities in order to get more relevant? So they're more or less putting their product into more of a lifestyle context, so to say, focusing more of interactions with the customers than the direct transactions. And there also was this thought-provoking quote at the conference saying that, well, talking about flagship stores, you just create one good flagship stores, but all the rest, shouldn't every store be a flagship store? And that's also an interesting question to think about. So let me just wrap all this thing up by talking a little bit about unified commerce. I mean, data is really the backbone in order to create unified commerce. And having a great technology platform and also a good way of data management, you are able to both increase your existing business model by streamline things like last mile logistics, warehouse management, and things like that. But it also gives you the possibility to generate new ideas, try to get new revenue streams, and maybe even new business models, so to say. So the tech infrastructure is the foundation in order to be able to do that. But it also gives you the possibility to be more personalized in your online communication with the consumers. I talked before about more personalized information and offerings in order to get better conversion rates. And if you have a good back-end technology, you are able to deliver that. But it also gives you the chance to get a more modern store in some way, where the customer feels like they can walk in there and they got this kind of seamless and frictionless experience from when they started to make maybe the purchase online browsing. And I mean, this in total, that creates the unified commerce, so to say. So That is a final model just to summarize all these things up. And if you want more information, you can download a white paper by following the link at this page. And yeah, otherwise feel free to contact anyone at Infor for more information.
Fantastic stuff, Martin. And I do have some questions for you. What makes NRF in New York so important for the retail industry?
Well, I think, I mean, it is the meeting place number one in the world for the retailers. I mean, it's a great way of networking with other retailers from around the world. And yeah, as I said before, it's a great exhibition. It has a great conference program, and you also get the chance to look at some of the most innovative retailers and their new concept stores at Manhattan and its surroundings. So it's a good way of great way of combination of theory and practice, so to say.
So AI was the hottest topic at NRF. Is it another technology hype or is it actually for real?
Well, I think it's for real because I mean it's so much focus on being able to deliver real customer value, right? Better customer experiences, both online and in store, and also bridge the gap between online and in store. So I would say I'm very hopeful that this will gives the retailers better abilities to deliver good customer experience, but also it's good for the customers in order to get more personalized and relevant offerings.
Any other topics that are worth mentioning?
Yeah, I mean, we focused a lot about AI because that was really the number one thing. But I mean, I would say two other areas that we have covered in the white paper, but that I haven't mentioned so much. It's one, it's retail media. And I mean, retail media is about retailers are getting to be publisher more to say. I mean, retailers are gathering more and more first party data, and that is a way for them to use that data in order to communicate with consumers in different channels. So retailers are getting more and more as publishers in a way. So that is also a topic that is quite hot at the moment, and that was discussed. You can read more about it in the white paper as well. And I would say that the third topic that maybe was a little bit overshadowed by AI and retail media, but that is very important for the retail industry. It's about sustainability, of course. I mean, we have a situation where we really need to think about how sustainable the retail sector is. And I mean, this has many names, but I mean the re-commerce sector, the second-hand sector, is really booming, and yeah, we see a lot of things happening at the moment. And as a matter of fact, retail NRF, they launched an initiative where they started a retail sustainable center this year. So that was also a topic that was quite hot.
So finally, any reflections or key takeaways that you'd like to share?
Well, I would say, I mean, I've been covering NRF for the last 10 years now, and what I can, thinking back over these 10 years, I see a shifting technology focus, so to say, because I mean, for about 10 years ago, there was a lot of focus around front-end technologies. And what do I mean by front-end technologies? Well, it's about um, consumers are meeting all these new technologies face to face. There was this robot called Pepper that was the hottest topic. I think it was back in 2016. This was said to be the staff of the future in the store, so to say. Well, obviously, it isn't, so to say. And we also see all these buzzes around interactive mirrors in the stores. We have seen robot baristas, robot pizzerias, very much front-end technologies that has kind of a wow factor the first time, but to be honest, doesn't really create substantial values in the long term. And I think that the focus has shifted from these front end, can call them gimmick technologies, into more back end technologies, where retailers now are using technologies in order to create better customer experiences yeah, we are creating more real value, so to say. And I think that is a promising thing for the retail industry in total. But I see that shift.
Wonderful stuff. Martin, thank you so much for your insights and trends here today. Don't forget, you can check out that white paper at the resource center you see on the screen. Thank you so much for joining us, Martin, and thank you everyone for listening today.
Thank you, pleasure.